Now, your ABC 12 First Alert forecast.
All right, we got the perfect weather for what I'm assuming a lot of you are doing right now, which is sitting on the couch, right? Enjoying the turkey, trying to digest, maybe not feel too full, and the weather is helping you out, which is good that it's like this because it makes you not want to do anything. And Bay City, we're looking beautiful out there, at least tomorrow night, by the way, right there. That Christmas tree is going to be lit up, so go check it out tomorrow. But here's a look at First Alert Doppler radar. We have the snow starting to transition over right now, and we told you this would happen yesterday. The good news is, at this point, a couple hours from now is when we're going to have even the first possible icy condition to the north. So a lot of us with traveling and, maybe headed home after it gets dark, we're looking pretty good, honestly, for traveling. Not just wet roadways out there, which is a lot better than icy roadways. And some of those rain showers starting to transition over from the Great Lakes Bay region further to the north. A little leery of this area over Owasso right now. I think that is coming down in the form of rain. The radar typically gets a little confused when we start these transition scenarios. But anyway, down to the south, we know it's in the form of rain because we can see it on the Flint camera lens coming down. Swartz Creek, Flushing, and again, I think Owasso and Corunna seeing it come down in the form of rain as well. Now off to the north, Bay City towards Saginaw, Couchville, a little further off to the east by Merritt and Quantico. We also have a couple light rain showers coming down as well. It's just been one of those blah, dreary kind of days. But a little further to the north, Oscoda, Harrisville, likely seeing a couple of wet snowflakes start to mix in right now. And it is a very gradual fall in temperature. So we are in the 30s to the south. We're only a couple of degrees cooler off to the north. So we're not looking at a big wall of cold air, no flash freeze, nothing like that. But the wind speeds, I will tell you right now, those will be increasing overnight tonight, and at times gusting over 30 miles per hour. It's going to be a very windy night coming our way. So everyone's wind chills right now are freezing or below, but this is just how it feels on your skin. The actual science of water on the roadway is not going to register with these cooler temperatures that are coming in off to the north. So as we go throughout the next couple of hours, we'll have on and off snow showers going through. Notice they'll be getting a little less numerous as we go into the overnight hours. Now as we go into the day tomorrow, we're going to not warm up very much. Strong northwest wind keeps us right around 30 on the backside of this system, and that's about as good as it gets for us. So it's going to be a little chilly out there. Then Saturday, our Clipper system comes in, and that's going to bring us the next round of snow potential starting Saturday night into Sunday. So tonight we'll eventually dip down to the 20s, but not until much later. And then tomorrow we'll head up just into the 20s, so it's going to be a little bit of a cool day coming our way. Now for Flint, Owasso, and Lapeer, we have issued the first alert weather day for tomorrow and then through the day on Sunday. And again, some accumulations likely with this. Not going to be too much. We'll wait a little longer to pinpoint it, but as of right now, it looks like generally about 1 to 3 inches, a little bit more off to the north. But it's going to fall over the course of a couple of days. I mean, this isn't going to be a very quick thing coming our way at all by any means. So it's going to be very slow to accumulate. Shouldn't have many issues out there, but notice how cold some of those overnight lows are. That means that we could have some freezing in some of those roadways, especially out in the rural areas. Once again, we're expecting La Nina conditions going throughout the winter months and maybe even into spring as well. So what that means, a lot like last year, is we have the trade winds along the equator once again are kicking up steam. They're blowing a little bit harder back over to the west. So what that does is the warmer water on the surface, it actually carries it over to the west side of the Pacific Ocean. It then piles up into areas like Indonesia, northern Australia, and that's going to cause very wet, warm conditions back that direction. So what that means a little further back over to the east is colder water deeper down in the ocean gets brought up to the surface. And we actually see this happen on the Great Lakes during strong wind events as well. So this is basically just on a global scale. Last time we had a La Nina, if you're very keen to remember, was just last year. So in 2020, this was the blue right along the equator, which is the black line in the middle. And this year, we have a little bit of blue showing up, but just not as strong, not as pronounced as what we saw last year, though it is expected to increase a little bit more in the coming months. So here's the general weather pattern that we can expect as this makes its way on through. Wet, cool conditions for the northwest, dry, warm conditions down to the south, and then we get into our neck of the woods, and basically, just like last year, we're expected to be pretty close to the storm track. So what that means is kind of right on the line between colder and warmer, and also above average precipitation. So here's a look at the last moderately strength La Ninas that we had. Last year was one of them. We had warmer than normal temperatures, but notice down the line, that's not always true. We can certainly have years below average or years near normal. Now here's where it gets interesting. Nearly every single one of the moderately strength La Ninas came in with below normal precipitation. Then snowfall, we can go either direction, but leaning toward the fact that we might see a little bit less out there. So not all going to be taken, of course, to be specific, to be exact, but that's generally what some of them can expect. Now, there are stronger La Niñas, and when we have a stronger one, that's when we start to see things change a little bit. Generally warmer than normal temperatures. Notice precipitation can be all over the board, but could be above, below, or right on the money. And snowfall with stronger La Niñas sometimes comes in to be above average. But this year we are expecting a moderate La Niña, which of course means what we just saw out there in terms of temps, precip, and snow, that we could generally see below average precip and snow out there. But again, there's always exceptions to the rules, and in some of those stronger La Niña events, we've had some of our snowiest winters ever recorded. So as of right now, we are forecasting a moderately strength La Niña, and we can expect it to have things be a little similar to what we saw out there last year, which was warmer, wetter, and snowfall that was pretty close to average. So it'll be curious to see if that takes shape again this year going forward. Well, good afternoon, everyone. A very soggy first day of fall out there for a lot of us, including around the city of Flint. Just when you think we're getting a break, another band of heavy rain starts to make its way on in, and that's kind of what we're seeing now, slowing down a little bit as it lifts off to the north. But I want to start by showing you some of the rainfall totals. These are estimated from radar, and as expected, the heaviest have certainly been down to the southeast, much less back over to the northwest. But anywhere where you start to see the blue, that indicates about an inch. So that goes through Bay City, Saginaw, and Midland. The bright blue, though, that's about 2 inches, and that includes some areas around Genesee County, but by far the bullseye, as expected, has been down to the southeast around the Detroit metro, where they're dealing with a little bit of flooding down there right now. But we still have the flood watch in effect, and that goes in effect until tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. A couple other things happening, though, and this will start to play more into the forecast here over the next couple of hours. Lakeshore flood advisory. That's for the entire Lake Huron coastline. We're going to have some very strong winds coming out of the northeast. I know they're already strong, but believe it or not, they're going to get stronger. And therefore, we also have a wind advisory in effect for those same areas, primarily right along the shoreline. Some of those gusts could be near 60 miles per hour, and that's during the overnight hours. So that means for some of us, it could be kind of a loud night coming our way with the house making weird noises, things like that. Rain still lifting up from the south. We're going to bring even more into the area. Again, much lighter from Mount Pleasant over toward West Branch. But as you can tell just by the way things are moving, you'll get some more rain here pretty shortly as well. But steady, moderate to even heavy rain for others like Owasso over toward North Branch. Flint, we had that come on through. Davison and over by Marlette. Now going into areas like Frankenmuth and Caro, seeing some of that as well. But I don't want to leave out, of course, the areas they'll be dealing with the wind. You also have rain coming down. That's from Caseville toward Harbor Beach, Port Austin, and even Tawas City and Oscoda has some steady showers coming down, just a little bit lighter than those of us down to the south. It is chilly out there now. We're in the 50s. That is well below average for this time of the year. But look at some of these wind gusts. Currently about 25 to 35 miles per hour and even higher, again, right along the water. So here's the wind gust forecast over the next several hours. We're going to stop it at 11 p.m. tonight, especially along the shoreline. Look at that. Very high, but much lighter inland, though still going to be pretty windy out there. And then as we go into the day tomorrow, this is where it gets a little interesting. The center of the storm starts to pass by. So we're pretty windy along the 127 corridor, but look at that. It goes nearly calm across our thumb counties. Consider this kind of like the eye of the storm, if you will. We're going to have the winds spiraling around it. That's the center of the low pressure, and still pretty gusty on the backside of it. So depending on where you are, you have a very different wind forecast for the day tomorrow. So rain, though, is going to continue ongoing, especially during the evening and overnight hours. Look at that other heavy band come through by tomorrow morning. It's going to continue through the day tomorrow, a little bit lighter near the center of it for our thumb counties, and that's when the other areas will start to pick up their rainfall totals. But look at that. It just keeps going right through the day, and for some of us, even into early Friday. The storm system is not going anywhere fast. Once it finally lifts off to the north, though, that's when we get a brief break before that comes our way, which is another front that will come through Friday night into Saturday, bringing us another round of rain showers. Now, because of all this lasting into tomorrow morning, I've issued another First Alert Weather Day into tomorrow morning. It will expire after our noon newscast. So for your evening, things will start to improve, bottom line there. But more rain is possible. Taking a look at the rainfall totals just for the next 3 days here, could see an additional 1 to 1.5 inches for a lot of our viewing area. And of course, some areas will get a little more, some areas will get a little less. After that, gorgeous weather coming our way next week. High temperatures very close to normal. not a drop of rain in the sky. We'll take it. We need it after this. Great Lakes Bay region, we will briefly warm it up before another round of rain comes in for us as well. Also another first alert day into tomorrow morning. And a different model putting out the same thing I was telling you, about an inch to an inch and a half. Again, some areas more, some areas less. But either way, another round of soaking rain is on the way. And this is the one that could start to give us some flooding potential overnight into tomorrow morning.
So, Brad, one Kaysville resident caught a very cool weather incident this week on camera.
Ooh, absolutely. It's called an ice shove, and that happens when ice floating on the Saginaw Bay gets drifted around in the wind and slams into land. Look at that, Terry.
Oh, that's impressive. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's definitely taking out some trees there. And these are large chunks of ice. I mean, look how thick that stuff is as it falls. So a lot of ice floating around the Saginaw Bay. Now, this did happen on March 11th, so it was a few days ago, and that was captured by Corey McKean. It was at the Fillion Road access just south of Kaysville. But, Terry, this isn't the first time it's happened. You recall one a few years ago, too.
Oh, yeah. Along Saginaw Bay, we had those northeast winds coming, and a lot of the ice was coming into people's homes, and there was damage, and we had never seen anything like it. At least I hadn't in my lifetime. And so when I watched this, I'm just glad this is only affecting trees and not necessarily homes at this point. Brad, we don't think that's going to happen this year. When we watch this, that's not going to happen in other places around the bay where some homes could get some of that ice.
No. The good news is that was a public boating access, so it sticks way out into the water, you know, so the homes should be okay, especially since the water is down like a whole foot this year. But I do want to explain to you how this happens with a graphic that we can show you here. And basically what needs to happen is the ice needs to be melted already in some way or fashion. So it needs to be broken off from any land and just kind of drifting out in the Saginaw Bay. So partial thawing of the ice needs to be mobile, able to move around. Strong winds then move the ice sheet, and the ice is heavy. It has a lot of momentum, so it crashes into land, and the more gentle the slope, the more likely it is to slide up onto the land. So basically, here's a very zoomed in graphic. The ice sheet arrives at the shoreline, but it has a lot of mass. Remember, it's very, very heavy. It's like a freighter. You can't just stop on a dime. So it slams into the land and it keeps pushing further and further inland. So anything along the shoreline basically gets crushed or buried in a lot of ice out there. And sometimes, unfortunately, that can include some homes. And they're most common on the bigger Great Lakes, especially the Saginaw Bay, but even some big inland lakes can also be prone to that, like Houghton Lake and Higgins Lake.
You're watching ABC 12's special presentation of the 2021 Hap Crim Festival of Races. Now, live from downtown Flint, here are your hosts, Dawn Jones and Brad Sugden.
Good morning, Mid-Michigan, and welcome to our special. We're taking a look at the runners. They're off and going. Our Mallory Pearson just kicked off the race, and the runners are going under the start line there, headed on this 10-mile Crim Festival of Races. It's going to be an amazing day here in downtown Flint for the 44th annual running of the Hap Crim Festival of Races. Brad?
Thanks, Dawn. And yeah, we are in Saginaw Street in downtown Flint. It is so good to finally see people back down here after our little break last year. We have a team of reporters out there. We're going to be covering everything for you, the spread all across the city.
And talking about a team of reporters, we have them at all of the major markers along this 10-mile course. Our Michael Nafso is 3 miles down the course at the first water station, and water going to be extremely important today because it's so hot and humid for these runners.
Absolutely.
And we'll check in with him in just moments. Who else do we have on the course?
We have Ann Perrett out there. She's at the toughest stretch, which is where Ann Perrett would be naturally, right? Handling the breaking hard news. She's at the Bradley Hills. And then we also have Brandon Green just down the road at the Saginaw Street near the finish line.
And we just mentioned at the top of our special here, the hour that the first runners just took off, but it will be at least 50 minutes or more before the fastest runners out today cross the finish line. And of course, that is the goal, to cross that finish line, and the winner will not be immediately clear. So we may not know who the winner is right away.
Yeah, so just because we're back this year doesn't mean things are back to normal. Everything is going to be a little different this year to try allow at least a little distance for some runners. You know, we still are in a pandemic. So that means we're not going to see the iconic crowd that we've seen in years, though we have a pretty good one that's going on behind us. And the racers will be taking the next entire hour to start whenever they're ready. So we'll have that going on through the next hour. They are individually timed, and that means when the first person crosses the line,